and welcome back to Those Two Geeks. My name's Alex, and I got that right this time. And his
Yes, you
name's
did.
Joe. The funny thing is, I'm way more tired this week than I was last week, and I still got that right. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how that happened last week, but there we go.
Well, you know what's funny? To be fair, not a criticism, but like your intro always sounds tired. Like you amp up energy after the intro every
Yeah,
single time.
I don't know
So
why it is. It's one of those things where I think I'm just
that's just
used
a
to.
Canadian thing, I think. I think
Yeah,
it's
I
polite,
don't.
you know?
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm so used to not being full of energy until I need to be.
Yeah,
And there we go.
exactly.
We
He started early, if
uh
anyone can hear that.
it
But
that's
yeah.
I'm sure they can. And honestly, at this point, I'm like
I think
we really
everyone's
we
used to it. He's
I was
part
gonna
of the
say we
show
really should
now,
just
you
call
know?
it Those Two Geeks and Animals.
Exactly.
Oh Jesus, Svenja, what are you doing? Speaking of animals,
Her
Sven just
too.
decided. Yeah, she just jumped up on, tried to jump up onto my lap, slipped, and all of a sudden she's hanging there by one arm as she's
That's
trying to
funny.
hold onto the table. So I think she's
Well,
embarrassed because she's ran away.
like usual, we're gonna try to maintain some semblance of order. We'll see how it goes, but this guy is just he wants everything right now, so
Oh,
hopefully it
that's
won't be
totally
too bad.
fair. Well,
But
we did say we weren't going to do a super long one. So
no,
hey,
we
maybe
weren't.
he will keep. Hopefully, he will keep us entertained for a bit. One of the
Yeah.
I think one of the only things we wanted to talk about was you showed me a picture of a new Batman figure.
Yes, the 1/12th in art Batman. Now, in art is basically Hot Toys on crack. They're like the upscale version of Hot Toys in 1/6. For some reason they've just boom, let's you know what, let's make 1/12 figures. So
Is,
basically they
am I
take
right
their
in
one
thinking they're
sixth,
like they're almost reasonably priced as well?
their 1/12, like the new ones are unbelievably priced, but their regular 1/6 offerings are
Yeah.
insanely expensive. Like they're like 150 more than any hot toy
Wow.
always.
Jeez.
So it's baffling, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. It's baffling that their 1/12th scale would be so affordable
I
when
wonder.
I showed you
Like,
like the detail is
yeah. Like
unreal.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that they did all of the R&D for the 1/12th, sorry,
Right.
1/6 scale, and then they've literally just downsized it by half. Now, I'm obviously not in manufacturing. I don't know how
No.
convenient or easy that is. And maybe the license they have allows them to use whatever mold they have, whatever size
Yeah.
they have. So they've already paid up front for the light. Like I don't know. I don't understand it
Right.
either. It doesn't make sense. But based
But
on the Christian Bale Batman that we've seen
yeah,
or that you showed me, it looks insane.
that's their first one, like right out the gate. First one, then they teased a Hathaway Catwoman to go with him. There's going to be a Bruce Lee, which I have the picture of that. That is
Hmm.
insane. It looks like you're looking at Bruce Lee in person from like historical photos. They have Lord of the Rings license. They have like for DC, I think they have the Bale verse and the Snyder verse right now. But
Yeah.
there's rumors of a Christopher Reeve Superman because in
Ooh.
1/6 they've done Christopher Reeve Superman. They've done Henry Cavill, which is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. My
Yeah.
buddy got it. Like I have the Hot Toys one now because he got the INART. And even though the Hot Toys is incredible, it's unmistakably, you go, oh yeah, that's Henry Cavill. The one he has literally looks like you shrunk Henry Cavill and put him on your shelf and he's alive. It's
That is cool.
holy crap. So but the reason I wanted to mention it because, part of this is going around all the toy communities is
Hmm.
Marvel is charging $50 for a deluxe Marvel Legend with, updated articulation. No new deco, no like new innovations really. This company is charging $61 for that Christian Bale deluxe figure plus shipping. That's nuts.
That's
$10 more. You're basically getting something that you would see in the museum in Hollywood in your
yeah.
hand.
That is
So
insane.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm trying not to yawn, but I don't know
no,
how
it's all right.
successful that was.
So basically, I
Yeah, that's
feel like
nuts.
this is the future of action figures because there's no way this is not going to be, a sellout success. Look at it. It's absolutely incredible.
Mm,
And there's a ton of reviews out there right now because basically they sent them out to like all the big top YouTubers and some small ones just to get the buzz out. So there's like 20 reviews and I've probably watched like I don't know 10. The figure itself is gonna go out to people who ordered it within the next month or so. Like the stock will actually go out, but the preview figure went out to everybody. So I've watched quite a few, but it's insane. The only literal thing it's missing, and it's not its fault, is a wire in the cape or a second wired
I
cape. Otherwise, it's literally perfect.
it's funny,
Perfect
so
figure,
I don't mind a non I would obviously rather a wired cape, but if
of
the cape
course.
isn't wired, it's not the end of the world for me.
No, for this figure, I understand it because the
Hmm.
cape, the way it drapes, even the fabric they chose, they replicated the material that Christian
Yeah,
Bale had in The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises on his back. Like everything is meticulous. I have no idea how they can have the price point at less than $100 for anything of this offering because it just looks so intricate and expensive.
hmm,
So that begs the question, okay, how much do toys actually cost to make and how much is marked up for just nothing? You know what I mean? Because
that's a
Marvel
really good question.
is crazy with their prices lately.
Yeah.
Mafex, even, this is far superior to a Mafex figure. Maybe not in articulation because it's a fully covered body. Like
Hmm.
it's a 6-inch silicone body that's basically covered on this figure with faceplates and an extra head.
Yeah.
Mafex is a good value and they're an import. But if like you're domestic with Mafex and live in the country, they're average of $50. It's the price to import it to North America that makes them 100. So like even at that point, they're stomping Marvel, offerings at $50. This company is murdering everybody if they continue because the likeness is literally the actor in 6 inch.
It's absolutely nuts when you look at
Yeah.
it.
They have glass eyes too, just
Yeah.
like the 1/6. So
Folks,
I
if
jumped
you're
on it.
understandable, if you're
Yeah.
folks, if you're listening to this, you're trying to work out what to Google, the word is it's one word, it's in art.
Yes.
INART. And
Basically, it's the offshoot of a company called Queen Studios that's been
yeah,
around for a very long time. It's their like their side brand for
yeah.
action figures
And
in 1/6.
just to be clear, we don't have any kind of sponsorship from them. We're
No,
not trying to push anything because
I
they've
want
asked
one.
us to. Oh, don't
If
get me wrong.
we can,
I
oh
would
my
not say
God.
no looking at this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're just looking at this as fans. I mean, honestly, that's the way we do everything. We look at it
Hmm.
as fans. I don't think we've ever actually been given anything to review or anything that we haven't already paid for with our own money, or we wouldn't, or we didn't
Yeah.
end up paying
I,
with
I
our
I
own
don't
money.
think we've ever solicited anything
No.
unfairly. I mean, we've suggested like friends of the show when we've had them on because we believe in their work,
Yeah.
but we have never ever been approached by anybody to promote anything. If we
No, that's
promote
not
it, it's
true.
because we
That's not
believe
true.
in it.
We had someone come asked to come on once if and we're like, well, let's see your stuff. Then we read it
Oh yeah,
and
you're right.
agreed
Yeah, yeah,
and but again, like that
you're right.
we said, you're welcome on, but let us at least look at your stuff and we'll be honest if
Yeah,
we don't like it.
right.
We did end up liking it, so it was a moot point. But yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
if folks want to come on and promote their stuff, you're obviously more than welcome to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the
But
bottom line is we are not shills
no,
at all. We either love
no,
it
exactly.
or we'll give it a fair shake, but we will never
Yeah.
be like, oh, this is amazing. If it's not, we'll be honest, we'll be like, it's not our cup of tea, which is okay. But
And
luckily
yeah, and that's
everybody
it.
we've liked so far and we've made friends with quite a few.
Yeah,
Obviously
agreed.
Matthew is the biggest.
Hmm.
Speaking of, sidebar, His podcast is
It's so
phenomenal.
good. Yeah, so Comics for You is Matthew
Yeah.
Klein's podcast. It is well worth giving it a listen.
Oh,
The production
100%.
value is far superior to anything we put out, which
That I would disagree because he has the same
really.
audio issues. If you
Oh,
notice,
okay.
I've
I
listened to episode 1.
see. Yeah, I just know he edits and we don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say
So
he's a skilled editor because he
yeah.
said that he's taken like I told him it flows seamlessly.
Hmm.
There's no ums or any like stuff that looks like it's tripping up. He swears he edited it out. I can't tell. It feels like a live conversation with no dead air.
Which is
That's where I'd say he's superior.
yeah, and honestly, we don't edit that because that's who we are. And you and I have
No,
over 10 years have developed a conversational style where
exactly.
we don't edit dead air. The only time I think we edit dead air is if one of us has to leave for a bit,
Yeah, yeah, if
right?
we're
Like
like, "Oh, I gotta go do something, I'll be right back." Yeah, that
get,
maybe.
throat's really dry, got to get a drink,
Yep,
use a bathroom, whatever. So like I'm
exactly.
not going to say we never edit. We do.
Oh,
It's
no, we
just,
do. We
it's
do.
just 9 times out of 10, it's because of that more than anything else,
Yeah, and
or
that's our style
audio
choice,
issues.
like, there's
Exactly.
multiple podcasts that are great on
Hmm.
graphic policy. What
Hmm.
sets us apart is we are literally like, you tapped our phone line, and it's a
Yeah.
conversation between friends you're listening to, and
And
no
nine
matter
times out,
what
like,
yeah, we'll
yeah,
never
yeah.
change that.
Case in point. No, case in point. We're not going to change that. And
Nope.
half the time, I mean, I can count over 309
8
episodes.
this is
It
308, I think it said.
So I said 308 because the one I recorded recently, when you weren't feeling it,
Yes.
I just did that directly into Audacity. So I'm
Ah,
going off this is misnumbered on
okay, fair
StreamYard.
enough.
So
Yeah,
I
stream that.
next week I'll try and remember to actually set it up for 310. But
Yeah.
the point,
Regardless, though,
yeah, the point is that the amount of times we forget we're recording and we're
mhm,
just chatting is not an insignificant number of times. Sometimes we
uh,
catch ourselves and you may not
yeah.
notice, and other times like, oh fuck, we're recording still.
I mean, the one thing I'll say, like, this started as 2 colleagues
Hmm.
who had something in common and were working together, and you're literally one of my very best friends. We
Exactly.
talk almost every day in some form,
Yep.
and I wouldn't change that. But
Nope.
the point I was trying to make, and we always tangent, is Matthew's show is very, very good, but I didn't expect it not to be because the way he is on our show, the way he carries himself is just so professional. And he's been around this whole business for a long time.
Hmm.
So
Oh, he's got
honestly,
some fantastic insights.
yeah, I give ourselves a lot of credit for a rinky dink podcast that we threw together, what, almost 10 years ago now.
And
We've done
honestly,
fine.
I
Yeah,
agree. And the funny thing is to me, and I realize this is an oddly retrospective episode all of a sudden.
it is.
What I find amusing is that we haven't really changed what we do in any
No,
way, shape, or form. I think the biggest change we had was switching from Skype to StreamYard. And that
and the
was,
music, adding music somewhere like 5 years ago was the
yeah,
biggest change.
what we used to do was I would play a certain like 2 bar riff or something from my phone, and then
Yes,
we recorded it, added it in manually, and then
yes.
we've changed the music, I think, a couple of times over the last 300 episodes.
Mhm. Yep.
But there's always been something. It's just it's faded in a bit better. Like
Yeah,
everything other than the fact we haven't changed much, other than just
right.
get better at what we do.
Yeah, no, I mean, the production value of this hasn't really, um, evolved, but
Mm-mm.
that's like I said, I think it's part of the charm. We're
Hmm.
still around. If
Yeah.
Brett didn't want us, we'd be gone, you know what I mean?
Well, that's
So
just it. Like
something's happening.
someone asked me the other day, at my day job when they found
Mhm.
out that I've got I think it was like a 300 episode odd show
Yeah,
going. Like, wait, you got what? How many people listen? I'm like, I
I
actually
know.
don't know. Like, what do you mean you don't? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that there's a demand for it.
Yeah,
Thank you, folks, for
somewhere.
listening and appreciate it.
Agreed.
There's a demand for it, and so we do it. And
Right.
honestly, like I said, we'd be doing this anyway. The only real difference is it takes me an extra 20 minutes out of my week at
To
most,
record
usually,
it and edit it.
to edit it and put it together.
Yeah. Which I mean, these are probably I don't think they would be the exact way we carried the conversations. They'd be a little bit more informal, if you could
Oh,
believe it.
yeah,
But
for sure.
the
We would probably
subject matter
curse and
would
swear
probably be the
more.
same. Yeah, we
100%.
definitely would. So, folks, before we go on, listen to Comics for You by Matthew Klein.
My
It's
fuck, that was a bad
so
tangent.
different than anything else I've heard, including us. It's so different because it's not just, hey, guest of the week, what is your project? What is this? It's every single facet
Hmm.
about the comic book industry. And
And
it's
each
different
guest
every
provides
episode.
their own unique
Yeah.
insight, and it's
It,
fascinating. It's absolutely
it's so
fascinating.
unbelievable. Like from the first episode, I learned so much. But number one, what I learned, I put in obviously our group chat,
Hmm.
is Matthew is the undisputed king of intros. He is so good at intros, it's not even funny.
It's absolutely, it's absolutely amazing
Yeah,
when you hear him put something together like that, and the amount
yeah,
of, I mean, we should have known because we've seen
I
him,
know.
we've heard him do it, seen him do it
Yeah,
for us numerous. I'm like, he's like, oh, I've got an intro. I'm like, you go ahead because I'm going to be half awake and mess it
right.
up. You're
Yeah,
you're happy to let happy to let him do it.
yep,
It's
agreed.
absolutely fine. Go ahead.
I mean, I always, when I do the intro, I don't plan it. It's
Yeah.
whatever is about to come out of my mouth and whatever I feel. Matthew, I think he plans his intros and practices them in front of the mirror like a promo.
And
And there's nothing
if
wrong
he
with,
does no, and if he doesn't, then that's how it sounds. It sounds fantastic.
yeah, he's
I
magnificent. So,
absolutely.
but back to InArt. Like I said, this is us. I mean, it's just the way it is,
What? Yeah.
unapologetic. Back to InArt. I really think when they start going, because right now they're an overseas company. Like Queen
Hmm.
Studios is known for making Hollywood busts. That's how they started.
Oh, I didn't
Like,
know that.
yeah, life size Hollywood busts. And they did the Snyderverse and a lot of that stuff. They're like 4 grand because they're just insane quality. Then they shrunk the busts and started doing 1/6, which they've been only doing for about 2 years. So they've grown to be one of the biggest 1/6 scale distributors because their quality is just far superior. But now this is their first, and they got a whole lineup coming. They are doing action figures, and to me, I honestly think they're gonna light a fire under a ton of mega domestic companies. The only thing that's gonna help North American companies for the time being is that this company is not widely distributed.
They're
They do not,
fledgling, right? It's
yeah, they're
still,
fledgling in
yeah.
this part, but they directly will not distribute to North America. So you have to get these products either from the Queen Studios site or some affiliate
Mm.
overseas or somebody like maybe a big bad toy store, but I even doubt that because I didn't see it, that will take imports and directly, third party sell them.
Yeah.
So they don't have the big vast net like Hasbro and those right now. But if they did, you wouldn't have Hasbro and McFarlane because their quality is so superior to anything that's out. It's like if you could get, you go to a restaurant and one restaurant charges, I don't know, 32.99 for a T-bone steak. That's good, but then this other competing restaurant right nearby that you have access to, which is the big point, gives you a prime rib. No, not even prime rib. Let's say Kobe beef for 20 bucks more than your T-bone steak.
I'm so glad I ate before this because I'd be really hungry by now.
Sorry, but 20 bucks more than your T-bone steak. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's slightly up price, but the quality is like 10 times what you're eating for the other price. People would stop eating regular steak and just save an extra $10 and buy Kobe beef
Hmm.
because the quality is superior. And that's the point, is like we collect. So I've come to a thing lately where, I'm very much slowed down on my action figure, accumulation. I just have
Yeah.
because of life. But also it's like, do I want 25 Marvel Legends or 100 McFarlane figures that are coming out almost daily? Or do I want something of supreme quality for just a tiny bit more of a markup, but it comes out, let's say, once every 3 to 6 months at a manageable pace?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at.
And
Why wouldn't you
that's just
want
like,
that?
why wouldn't you be
Yeah,
more selective? I'm looking at this figure,
it's
and
insane,
it's
dude.
nuts. It almost looked like there's definitely some clear cut joints in the hips and stuff, right? But like
Yes.
I think you can see butterfly joints, but unless you're really paying attention, you can't see where the joints are. It looks
No,
like a full bodysuit, but I don't think it is.
right.
I think I
No,
can see
it's
elbow
not
joints, but
a full bodysuit. Like for the Bale Batman, they didn't go like a Mezco route. They went with plastic, but it's
which,
done so well, you
yeah,
can't tell almost. And look at the torso. That's the big part. If you see where the ab panels are going to the
yeah.
chest,
Hmm.
there's 4 points of
Are you
articulation.
kidding? Jeez.
No, which is crazy. And you can't see the cut. So
The
imagine
only
if
reason
you
I
could
can
get a
see,
Hugh Jackman Wolverine in
yeah,
this
like the
scale.
only reason I can see one of the cuts is because I noticed it where it was in a previous image.
Right.
Other than
But
that, right? Like it's
yeah,
yeah,
so I
like
mean,
folks, if you haven't
crazy.
been convinced to at least look this figure up by now, it is absolutely insane. Please take a look. I'm not encouraging you to buy it. That's between you and your wallet if you want to get it or not. Again, we have no
Right.
affiliation. Whether you get it or not is up to you.
Exactly.
But
But I mean, if
damn, it
you're
looks
a
good.
Bale Batman
Hmm.
fan and like you want something, on your desk, your shelf, or your mantle, this is it. Like, how
Yeah.
would you go any better? Like, there's nothing else out there. I actually sold off my McFarlane Dark Knight Rises collection because there's no point. I
Hmm.
want this. I don't need an inferior version next to it. Like, what's the point? If I can get this, sure, I'm gonna wait, probably 3 or 5 months for the Catwoman, but there's no comparison. It's completely superior.
It's insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, we don't want to turn it into a commercial, but we wanted to talk about it because we
Well,
always
that's
talk
just it. Like
toys.
we're excited about different toys.
Yeah.
What was it? We were going to talk about something else, weren't we?
Where you were today.
Oh, well, yes, that. I thought there was something else other than that. Uh, folks, for the context of this conversation, we were chatting beforehand. I was working as a vendor at a convention today, and I've got to go back tomorrow, which is why
Now,
this isn't the longest of shows because I'm
right.
somewhat
Well,
tired. But
I mean, we say that we don't know yet, but yeah, we're gonna
yeah.
try to keep it short. But so how was the convention like overall? If you weren't working it, was it
So
worth going?
here's the thing, and I'll be fully honest with you. I've said in the
Hmm.
past, this is my third time, I think,
Hmm.
doing the vending thing, and it has been around for
Right.
five five iterations.
Okay. Yeah.
The last two times I tabled, I wouldn't necessarily have then made an effort to, based on that experience, I was like, "Hey, I probably wouldn't come back and pay to go in." And then last year
Right.
I didn't work at the for the shop at the convention, and I just never bothered going down.
Hmm.
This year, ironically enough, is the first year I've been where I would have happily paid to go in. Now, the the price was a bit more, I think, than I would have wanted to pay
For the cover charge?
for the cover charge. It was like $45 to get in.
Wow,
And
that's
it
like regular convention price.
yeah, yeah, so it's not again like I get it. It is what it is. It's just where it is.
Right.
It's a pretty big enough of a convention that I can
Hmm.
understand why that price would be there. But
Right.
the thing is, he doesn't charge for so the way the vending works, you just buy your pass, the table's free.
Oh, I mean, you can't beat that because Rhode
No,
Island, it's like $900 for a vendor to get a table.
exactly.
Yeah,
So the the tickets to get in are the same for everyone. So we
right.
obviously we paid uh, for 2 weekend passes for me and the shop owner Jeff,
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
right. So once you hit that, well then there's your passes paid for, and we hit that pretty quickly. And then
Right.
anything after that is essentially profit minus wages that you gotta pay out.
Yeah. I mean, you have to weigh that in. That's a
And
big draw for a vendor, I
it's
would say.
so they actually had they had people that were turned away because there were so many people wanting to get in. So
That's cool though.
there's a ton of vendors that want to go there. And again, like
Right.
for me, the price to get in was is a touch on the more expensive side. Now, if you're
Yeah.
doing a weekend pass, it's only $60 as opposed to paying 45 one day and then I think it's like 30,
45. Yeah.
35 the next day. So
That's not bad.
you do save quite a bit if you're
Yeah.
doing a weekend pass. And they gave me a free tote bag as I walked in, and I was like, I'm not going to say no to a free tote bag because it's a
No, of
free
course
bag.
not.
Do I need it? No, but that's
Right.
neither here nor there. So that aside, I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of people I know there
Hmm.
at this point, right? Like a lot of comic artists that are local to the area that come by, you say hello. I'm convinced
Okay.
one of them knows who I am, but couldn't tell you my name if you had held a gun to his head
Probably
because,
the show.
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe, maybe not. Although he has been on the show. Has he been on the show? No, he hasn't. I interviewed him before we had the show. Anyway,
Okay.
he is actually willing
Oh,
to come
back in the days of typing
back in
out
the.
the questions,
Oh my.
sending them back and forth. That was
No,
the
we actually met in a
worst.
coffee shop and we had a great chat for 45 minutes and I transcribed the entire fucking conversation. It was horrible.
Oh my God. I
Um,
remember, sidebar, I remember with graphic policy, I don't do it anymore. But
mm,
when we first started, every single interview I did at a convention was taped on like an audio recorder, like an old
yep.
school shitty tape recorder. And then I would come home and transcribe it word for word on
But
my
your interviews
laptop.
were always really good
Well,
back in
I
the day
framed
whenever you
them.
did it.
You know why? I
Yeah.
always did a theme with them. And the
Yeah.
secret to that
I,
was so I wasn't bored
and
because, yeah,
I actually, I don't, you may not have noticed. I actually learned a lot from your style of interviews when I was first asking questions because
I did
when
not
I
notice that.
no,
That's
so when I
awesome.
first started interviewing, I was like, I don't really know what questions to ask. I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed because at the time you were Mr. H. I was like, I've always enjoyed his
Yep.
interviews, so I was reading a bunch of yours and I was using a lot of your stuff as inspiration. So
That is so cool, dude. Like I would
yeah,
never think that because you are so well carried, and obviously since Toastmasters, you are just way more spoken and presented. Like that's very, very flattering. I will tell
hey,
you this.
everyone's got to start somewhere, right?
I'll tell you this. I mean, I this is definitely a retrospective
Yeah,
episode. My first interview ever with
yeah.
graphic policy with this whole thing was Lou Ferrigno. And the reason why I changed up my interview style was because of my first interview. So I was so excited. I got, press pass from Brett and,
Hmm.
all the go ahead. I got to go to Dunkin' Donuts Civic Center, which is one of the biggest. It's not the biggest, but one of the biggest around. And we went to the press box. And that's where everyone, who was going to interview Lou would interview him. So I was so excited. I went out, I bought a Hulk t-shirt. I had a notebook full of, questions that were mostly about Hulk or Hulk related.
Mm.
And I went and sat down. I was the first person to interview him. It turned out it was his, I believe, I don't know exactly, but it was his 64th birthday, I want to say.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm sitting down. I'm the first person. I've never interviewed anybody in my life or done any journalistic, enterprise. But
Hmm.
I've watched my father present for years and years and years. And I've watched Bill Gates walk over to my father and congratulate him. Like I've seen my dad. He was amazing in his prime. So I took some of that because I always watched. But I
Yeah.
sat down, fucking Blue Ferrigno walks in. He's not in the best of moods. And he comes in, he's like, okay, we're gonna do this. I was like, oh my God, he's a mammoth of a man in person. I wasn't prepared. I'm sitting down, he's standing up. I stand up, I still come up to like, I don't know, maybe under his pec. And he's like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Lou. And I'm like, hi. I was like starstruck because my dad loved Lou Ferrigno
Yeah.
as a kid and I grew up with it. And he's like, okay, before we start, I just have to say, first thing, no Hulk questions. I don't want to talk about purple pants. I don't want to talk about green. I don't want to talk about Hulk. Nothing. I almost shit myself. My entire notebook was Hulk
Was
questions,
Hulk.
and there was like
Yeah.
six. So I sat down. I looked at him. I was like, well, okay, no problem, Lou. And he's like, okay. He's like, so what do you want to talk about? I had no idea what to do. And then I remembered that my dad was a big fan of him. So I brought up, just hoping on a win and a prayer, I brought up Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was his roommate
Hmm.
when they were bodybuilding. So I brought up this documentary my dad watched multiple times called Pumping Iron. And I said, okay, fair enough, no Hulk. I said, Lou, um, it's widely known that you were close with Arnold Schwarzenegger and you even roomed with him. He goes, oh my God, Arnie, I love Arnie. I talk about anything. So that opened him up. I
Hmm.
was just like, oh my God, thank God I had that knowledge or I was
Yeah.
screwed. So we talked about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's not actually in the interview because we didn't start it at that point, but we talked for about, I'd say 3 or 4 minutes.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden he was so elated that he goes, okay, you know what? He's like, ask me anything you want, anything you want. I was like, even Hulk? He goes, even Hulk. And then that's when I hit record. And I was fascinated because one of the things I found out, I didn't know that Lou Ferrigno was deaf. I had no idea he
Hmm.
was deaf.
I
So
I
that's
did
why
I
he
did
sounds
know
that
that.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no
I
clue.
I've no idea how. Like, does he? I wonder if he lip reads or if
He
he.
said he lip reads loosely, but like his hearing's not completely gone, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's very like faint in certain parts.
Right.
So he brought up the Hulk, and I said, "So why Hulk?" I said, "Obviously you were a bodybuilder and you were in great shape." I said, "But was like that was just a role you wanted, or was it always your intention?" I didn't know that he was a diehard fan of the Hulk when he was a kid, the comic book, because he was a scrawny little kid
Mm,
who used to get picked on, and they would
so
call
then
him,
he. Yep.
yeah, they would call him Deaf Louie. So he just turned, when he was really young, his passion into bodybuilding to escape. So when the Hulk TV show came out with Bill Bixby, there was a casting for it. And that was like his dream. When he started Hollywood, he wanted to be the Hulk. Like once they announced it, he was like, I have to be the Hulk. There's no
Hmm.
one else. So he didn't think he was going to get it. I guess Arnold and him talked or whatever. But long story short, he got it. And that's why he put so much into the role. And the other reason he got it was they didn't have to do much alteration and special anything
Cover
because
him
of
in
how,
green.
right, just cover him in
Yeah.
green and let him go. So he told me that he grew to love the Hulk even more because he didn't expect the impact it was going to have.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the interview word for word, but like at one point, he talked about a time he went to Egypt. And when he went to Egypt, he couldn't believe how big of fans people were of the Hulk. And he was just overblown. So he's always been a fan of it. And like the interview went really well. It was my first one, but it was a learning experience because I got gut punched right out the gate. He
You've got
literally
to
didn't want to talk
be
about anything.
flexible, right? Yeah.
Right.
I
So I
so
learned.
ironically, I think the very first interview I did was with that comic artist, like in person anyway.
Hmm.
With and ironically enough, he'd actually I think he said he was half interested in coming back
Right.
slash on. But again, like I was talking to a bunch of people, and a lot of the folks there are not necessarily comic artists, but like I
Hmm.
said, one guy was a he's done a children's book and he's got a really interesting style of work. And ironically enough, he's doing me a sketch cover probably right now.
That's awesome.
There's been a bunch of one of my friends is like a video game streamer and his partner was there and they were doing like crochet stuff. So there's a lot of that kind of
Hmm.
vendors at the show, which I think is fantastic. It's really cool to see different styles of artwork there. So in hindsight, had I thought about it, I should have had some kind of card printed up and said, "Hey, if you're interested, shoot us an email." But it never
Yeah.
occurred to me until just now that that's something that I should do.
Yeah, I mean, it's
There you go.
refreshing that it sounds like what you have is mostly a collectible, but basically heavily comic book based
It,
style convention, which
I
doesn't
don't even
really
know if,
exist anymore.
yeah, I wouldn't say we were the only comic vendor there, but there's a lot of people that do art
Right.
that may not have, they may not actually sell comics, but there's a handful of folks selling collectibles, toys, etc.
Yeah.
For the most part, though, is people selling prints, artwork, 3D printed stuff, uh,
Yeah.
like heat press type print. It's like a lot of really cool and interesting things. There's one guy, and I need to take a picture of his stuff tomorrow, but there's just too many people in the way. He does
Oh
spray
yeah.
paint art,
Trust me.
and it's cool because it's inside, and it's you don't smell it. Like it's all
Hmm.
there's no fumes or anything. He's
Right.
Jeff was saying that he asked him a couple of years ago. He said, "Oh yeah, no, all of my stuff is like the paint is very specially formulated, so we can
Hmm.
do it inside." He said, "Otherwise, I'd never be able to make a living in the winter."
Right.
So a lot of because I remember seeing him once he was outside, you could smell it, and it was really potent. Whereas
Yeah.
now he does a lot of like silhouette stuff. It's really cool
Well, I mean,
designs
that's
and
really different.
yeah.
So, I mean, you should talk to him tomorrow. Just be like, hey, you also have a show and you'd like
Oh,
to
I'm yeah,
have
no, I'm
somebody on.
happy to do it. See if like it's one of those things I'll see if I can I would the ironic thing is because we're so great at checking our email that
Well, oh my God. Yeah.
I don't want to say, hey,
Yeah.
email this. I'm like,
Yeah.
and someone does
One
it.
of us has to get better at being a moderator because I still kick myself for us missing the guy from As Told by Toys. I mean, not, no, what it
No,
was the toys that made us.
that wasn't us that missed that. That was me because I just
Well,
didn't do it. I just forgot.
I'm being nice, but like that was like, and it was
I appreciate
hilarious
that.
too because at the time I was so into that show. Like
Yeah,
I was literally watching that
and
show and I was like,
I'd
oh
never
my
heard
God.
of it, and I'm like, oh, hey
Yeah.
Joe, and you're like, oh my god. I'm like, oh wait, that was 3 months ago. They probably don't want to talk to us right now. So guys, if you're listening, it's genuinely
But
because we're just shit
the
at
other
checking.
thing I'll
Or
tell you
I'm
is
just shit at checking email.
we're awful. We are literally awful. I mean, we always say if you're coming for professionalism, don't come here. That's not what we promote. We promote fun. We promote, authentic. That's who we are.
Mm.
Who we are on this microphone is exactly who we are in a parking lot in Massachusetts during Christmas time, opening toys. Oh my
That
God.
wasn't Christmas. That was fucking August because we were that late.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know
no,
why I thought
I think that's even funnier.
it was just
Um,
amazing. But no, the other thing I'll tell you is, so I learned to pivot with Lou Ferrigno,
yeah.
and then I've been interviewing people, off and on
Mhm.
every kind of medium for the past 10 years. My biggest passion, we all know, is wrestling. So I've been doing wrestling. I tried to get it into graphic policy. So that's why I started Smart Tank because Brett was like, oh, that's cool, but there's really no niche for it on graphic policy, which I still think, I mean, it's missing, but it's kind of missed the boat. But the point is,
Ironically,
it
I think
is,
we are the niche for wrestling on
yeah,
graphic policy at
exactly.
this point.
The point is, it is very difficult to
Hmm.
interview wrestlers compared to artists and other, type of mediums, because wrestlers, I learned, and the hard way, wrestlers are very hard to approach. They have special set of requirements, usually with an agent or whatever, but also they are so fucking sick of hearing about how great their best match or, a match that everyone talks about.
Mm.
They're so tired of that. While some of them will be nice, you're not going to get a gem of an interview asking fanboy questions. So I struggled with that a couple times, and then I met a buddy who interviewed wrestlers as well. And he told me that he met Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I've never had the chance to cross paths. He doesn't do conventions much or whatever, but he interviewed him. I was like, oh my God, how was it? He's like, it was amazing. he said it was hard at first because I started out with the fanboy questions. I was like, oh, I said, so how did it work? And I have taken this approach ever since that, like 5 years ago. He goes, I asked him about fishing, and all of a sudden he talked to me for about 15 minutes about fishing, even though the time limit was 5 minutes. He wouldn't shut up. He's like, I learned that if you take an interest in something that either they care about, outside
Yep.
wrestling, it will work because they're tired of talking only wrestling. So I learned that and I use it all the time, you
I
know?
get it. Like I get like
Yeah.
maybe someone wants to come on. I mean, frig, look at Matthew. Like he came on to talk comics and we spoke wrestling for 40 minutes. Then he
Yeah.
came
That
back
was that
again
was
because
my
we
fault, you know?
it well, yes, it was that time. But then he came back again and I remember distinctly me saying, "Hey, so before we get into talking about your work, I just want to let you know that because of our last conversation, I've started
Right.
watching." And then it went again, and at that point, it was just hilarious. And I
Yeah.
think it was the third or fourth time he came back, we finally spoke about Crashing. Great book, by the way.
Amazing book. It took 3 times to promote the thing he was on the
It was
show,
three,
but he
which I
didn't
think is
mind.
hilarious. No, he didn't.
You know what I
And
mean?
again, like it's the kind of thing where yes, I've got to come onto a show to promote my work.
Mhm.
Yes, I get it. But if I'm having fun talking about other stuff, and hey,
Yeah.
maybe your audience is enjoying it.
Right.
I mean, no one has ever told us they don't like Matthew Klein. I don't
Nobody. I
think
mean,
he's a
who
person.
wouldn't how
I,
could you not like him?
yeah.
He's so unbelievably nice. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
like I'm guilty of that. Like that seems to be like my special gift when we have a guest of any kind is sniffing out the other thing they like. Like we did it with Jason and Marcuson with toys. It
Yep.
turned into a
No,
toy podcast instead of
Jason's come
promotion.
back specifically to talk about toys. I
Right.
remember he came on. We're like, "Hey, so you're like, yeah, yeah, great. So toys."
Yeah, exactly. Because so that's something you have to look at that we offer different is
Hmm.
we're not just going to have a cookie cutter boring conversation. It's not what we aim to do. If we were doing that, we'd be bored and I don't think
Yeah,
we'd have people back.
no, and I think we do preface this by saying, look,
Hmm.
we want to talk about your stuff right away because if it goes off topic, we're not going to
Right.
stop it. We're not going to
If,
try and steer back. We're going to talk for an hour
yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah, but dude, I'm extremely flattered because that's the first time you ever told me about my interviews. Like I had
Yeah,
no clue you
I
even
for,
looked at them.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, when I did, I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Well, dude, you are very, very good. Like I read
I appreciate it.
Underrated. I've read
Oh
a
fuck, I
ton of
haven't written
those.
anything for those in forever.
I know, but those were always good.
Yeah,
Like
well, thank you.
always good because I like the way you put your personality into it. It's not just a review. You know what I mean?
No, I always approached underrated as specifically not a review,
Right.
which is I think where the charm of it came from. Ironically,
Exactly.
I haven't written one in a while because I really haven't read much in a while.
No, you like every time we talk, you have like a stack of comic books.
Oh,
I
it's
will tell
unreal.
you this though, don't add Batman Hush 2 to your fucking comic book list.
Oh, really? Is it bad?
Dude, oh my God. They had 23 years to do something
Oh, has it
because
been
20
23 years since
it's
Hush
been
came out?
23 years.
Oh my lord.
Now, Jim Lee's art is always incredible. The
Yeah,
story is so bad. Like it's just I don't know what Jeff Loeb's thinking. Maybe I have to give it past the first issue, but it
yeah,
is
I suppose it's only been
god
one issue, but
awful.
yeah, still.
It's god awful. Like, I mean, they're treating the Hush storyline as an event. Like, Hush has only been in the original Hush and this, even though he's been in like 30 storylines in multiple comics since. It's just, it's so cookie cutter, dude. And to charge 14.99 for each issue is
Yeah, that's tough.
insane.
That's insane.
There's no way this is going to work.
No,
Like, yes, I love Jim Lee's art. It's beautiful, but
but
I can't
15
justify,
bucks for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
6 months of 14.99. No, thank you. Like, this is a book that unfortunately shouldn't have been greenlit. I have
I
no idea how.
I do wonder
Hmm.
how the increased price versus the lack of sales. Ultimately, I think there's going to be a lot of people that
Yeah.
won't buy it because if they're not into it and the price is that high, they're not going to pick it up.
Right.
How will that balance out? Like, can you charge $15 for a bigger comic and still make the same money on it?
I don't think you can.
I
Like,
don't.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't have thought. Not long term either, because
yeah, this might be a
each lost
topic for
reader would be.
Matthew, but like I had this with a really good friend the other day.
Mm,
What's more important, art or story? For
do
me
you know what?
personally, it's story.
Agreed. I want to put a pin in that because I do want to ask
Okay.
Matthew that question.
Yeah.
I think that's a we always chat wrestling with him. That I think it'd be really
I know.
interesting to have that conversation with him.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree. It's
it's
got
not gonna. Yeah, I know it won't happen the next time he's on. 'Cause I think that's we were talking WrestleMania for that. So
yeah. So
isn't
bottom
that?
line, don't
Yeah,
get Hush.
fair
WrestleMania
enough.
is in 3 weeks.
Okay, so we've got time.
Yeah, we got time.
I'm gonna be honest. My legs are still sore, and I
I was
need to
about
get a
to
drink.
say, yeah,
Yeah,
we can wrap, but this one was completely all over the place compared to like the last three where we've been oddly on topic for the most point with a couple slips here and there. This one was just freaking as off topic as the tire episode and the handyman episode that I still is one of my favorites of all time that we did.
but you know that's the title, right? This is as off topic as the handyman episode.
There we go. Perfect. So I don't
Uh,
really have anything else. I want you to get some rest. I want picks tomorrow from,
yeah,
the con.
I need to send better pics. I was up at 6:30 this morning because there was a partial eclipse that we obviously went to see because I sent you a picture of it,
Yeah, I saw it. That
and
was really cool.
yeah, it was really cool. And then I didn't really go back to bed, so I'm beyond fumes at the moment. So I really
I
should
get it.
get a
Yeah,
drink and then just literally put my feet up because I was standing all day just for the way the everything was set up. So anyway,
understood.
we will well,
We'll
folks.
reconvene. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
we're
just call
Joe and
this
I are
one.
gonna chat again through the week, but hopefully, folks,
Yeah,
this time next week we may have a topic, we may not. It may be Matthew with us, it may not be. We don't know what the week can look like.
who knows? We'll see.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.